Imagine owning a house you dreamed of owning all your life, only to realise that your dream home was unimaginably haunted, and it would control your whole life. This, in fact, is the house that we found the most scariest of all when we as a team investigate this mind-blowing location. It was on a warm spring day that Vanessa Mitchell finally achieved her dream, but she wasn't to know that this dream would soon become a nightmare. Join me as I talk about the cage. It had been a hard and long process. Vanessa was standing outside the front door excited. She had finally grasped her dream to own the cage. The cage overlooks the road nestling through the centre of St. Osyth, dominating the site of the village. St. Osyth is located in Essex and has a vast history of invasions and death. Vanessa took the keys from the estate agent. Excited and in anticipation, she unlocked the front door and walked into the kitchen. She was greeted with a cold blast of air. Proceeding to explore the house, Vanessa felt an atmosphere in this house. Nicole was a lifelong friend of Vanessa, and the girls moved in together in the cage. On the first day of moving in, Vanessa unpacked the essentials in the kitchen and boiled the kettle when all of a sudden she heard footsteps creeping up behind her. Assuming this was Nicole, she shouted out, "Tea's ready!" when she turned round and saw a tall, dark figure standing behind her. Vanessa jumped as her eyes locked onto the featureless black entity. As the days went on, Vanessa spotted on top of the cupboards a piece of A4 paper blowing around. This is weird, she thought, as she grasped the paper now in her hand. It was a death certificate of a former owner. As she was scanning the document, she could see the man had hung himself from one of the beams on the ceiling. A feeling of emotion came over Vanessa as she had felt sorry for the poor man. How can someone go to that extreme to hang themselves? As the weeks progressed on, the haunting became more weird. On a daily basis, Vanessa and Nicole would be plagued by a constant fly and maggot infestation, seemingly appearing out of nowhere. Vanessa's items would go missing only to reappear in the most strangest places. The girls would find the taps on in the bathroom, full well knowing they had turned them off. This became a problem for Mama as the water bill was astronomical due to the water usage. But this was only the start. As the weeks went on, the haunting got worse. One dark winter morning, Vanessa got the shock of her life. As she was descending the stairs in her dressing gown, she gained access to the front room when she suddenly found all the lights, TV, and other electronics had been switched on during the night. As Vanessa proceeded to turn all the electronics off, she heard a deep, horrible growl in her ear. After this inhuman growl, Vanessa started to feel sick and temporarily overcome with fear. As the months went on, the hauntings were a daily routine. The temperature in the cage would be freezing, then all of a sudden the atmosphere would change. Eventually, due to wanting a family, Nicole moved out of the cage to live with her partner, so this left Vanessa all alone in the cage. After a while, Vanessa discovered she was pregnant. Her main concern was what the spirits of the cage had to offer. As the months rolled on, she had her baby, but the hauntings were again getting worse. One night, Vanessa had woken up to see the figure of a man leaning over the cot, staring at her baby. This was the last straw for Vanessa, and one of her friends offered her a place to stay. Over the years, it is said that Vanessa had rented the house out only to be told by her tenants that they want no more to do with the house. Eventually the house was sold, but the scars of the activity that Vanessa endured are still ever present to this day. So what was it that Vanessa experienced? Why were the hauntings so sinister? It is well known that the cage was a former witches' prison in the 1500s, and it held the most famous witch there, Ursula Kemp, in 1582. If you ever get the chance, walk past this building and you'll find a plaque that gives respect to those who were held here, including Ursula Kemp. It is also known that locations have experienced plagues of negative energy, as said to inhabit those who are grounded to the grips of the building. When you look at location that held witches such as Lancaster Castle and Pendle Hill, the paranormal activity creates a pattern. Could it be that the wrongly accused still haunt the buildings of once they were kept? We definitely think so. On our investigation there, we did pick up on the spirits of the wrongly accused. Vanessa now lives in peace, and we can take our hats off to her for living and putting up with this haunting, and I hope that she has peace in the future. We, as a paranormal team, experienced our fair share of activity in the cage.